Hello, everyone. Welcome to the week in review for week four. So we've got week 4, 5, and 6. So we've only got about 3 weeks left in this course. Again, remember, this is a 6-week course, very compressed, going very, very fast. But all of you are doing really, really well in the course. We just got done with week 3, where you took the midterm. So the midterm has been graded. Let's talk a little bit about the midterm. You guys did very, very well on the midterm, as I was hoping. Looks like a lot of you watched the video that I had in last week about the prep for that and reviewing your old quizzes. With that being said, I did look at a few of the questions in the midterm and gave some points back on that. So looking at my notes here, um, everybody was given three. Basically, I tossed out 3 questions. So I went back, I looked at the analytics on the midterm, and there were 3 questions pretty clear that, when only 27% of the class gets any one individual question correct, that's a toss out. So there were 3 questions that I did toss out of there. So everybody was floated up 3 points. Again, we had 100 questions on the midterm. So that really made things look great as far as the average score. That brought the average score up to about 90.5, which is it's a good average. And then an average is kind of the midpoint. There were those a little bit below, and there was a good chunk of you above the 90.5. So good job with that. That should hopefully kind of make you feel a little bit better. I know the quiz is difficult and challenging going into that. But remember, it's all the points for the class, not just the quizzes. So that's going to give you a lot of extra breathing room in there. And also with the learning activities, which are all graded up to date as of today. It's Monday afternoon at 3 o'clock. All of the learning activities are done, and the progress journal is graded. All the grades should be in for everything in the course up until this week in week 4. So do take a look at your grades. And remember to add them all up when you're looking at the whole total picture if you want to see where you're standing at any given point. But I think most folks are in some really good territory at this point with the class. Now, there are a few of you I've noticed who did not turn in any assignments. So let's take a moment to talk about my late work policy, if you will. Well, the late work policy is stated in the syllabus, and it's kind of our standard policy where it's 10% per day and so on and so forth. Well, at 10% or 10 points, or no, sorry, 10% per day, very quickly it goes down to 0, right? Well, I don't do that unless I have to. So here's kind of my other policy. So uh, please, if you have late work, please hand it in. I will take some points off, just to be fair to all of those that got their assignments in on time. But let's say, for example, you lose 20% of the grade on an assignment, and the assignment is well done, and you normally would have got a 95, and you get only a 75% on that assignment. Getting those points is critical. If it was a 25-point assignment, one of our 33-point assignments that we have, which I'll talk about in just a moment, and you got a 0 in the grade book, that is clearly make the difference between a letter grade in many cases when you're kind of at that edge. So that's, off the difference between a C or a B or a C or a D, or that B and the A, because I know all of you want to get an A. So my message to you is this: if you have an assignment out there outstanding, get it. Please get it turned in. It is to your benefit. There will be a little haircut on points, but it is going to help you in there. It's all about gathering the points out there. All right, so there is that. So I do accept late work is what I'm trying to say to you, and it is to your benefit to hand that in. All right. Also this week, talking kind of in our theme on points here. Right after I'm done with the week in review, I am going to go ahead and post the extra credit assignment. I see one of you has already found it. So you've been sneaking around and you found where it's at. But I'll put that in the course news for everybody else to see. So it'll be right up front. Actually, I'll post it above this video. So it should be right above my picture here. So go ahead and take a look at that extra credit assignment. You have all the way through until the end of the course to hand that in. And what I do is if I add up your grades and I notice that, oh, geez, you didn't get the A, I'll go back and look and see if you did the extra credit assignment, if it would have helped boost you up to the A, or if you didn't make any grade other than an A, I'll check that extra credit assignment out if it's there. Um, if you've got an A, I'm not going to check it because you've already got the A. It doesn't make any difference at all. So, but for those of you that might be on the cusp at that point, I will take a look at that before final grades are submitted. So that means by the end of the course, which ends Sunday at midnight in modules, or I should say week 6, I have to have that in there. So if I do need to look at that, I will go to the Dropbox and take a look at it. All right, so there's that for extra credit. It's there if you need it. Most students don't, but if you're getting into week, or I should say, if we're in that module 8 and you add up your totals, week 6, at the end of the course, and you think, I need some extra points, go ahead and do that. It's a relatively easy assignment, but it could make a difference in the points. I do not have time to track you down when final grades are due. So you'll have up until Sunday, just kind of talking about the completion of the course. You'll have till Sunday to submit everything, including late assignments, whatever you get everything in by Sunday, the last day of the course, by midnight. Monday morning, I come in, I grade whatever we needed to be graded. I look for any missing assignments that were turned in. I come up with your point totals. If they don't equal an A, I check then if you got the extra credit, and then come up with your final point total. I have to get grades in by noon, so I don't have time to make a phone call or send an email out to see if you've got extra assignments floating around out there. I've got to go with what I've got that's in the course. Okay, so there's that. Let's also talk about, some of you have noticed that we have an assignment which is also helping you as well with some of the points in the course. And with looking at the syllabus here, we've got, if you noticed our learning activities, which, there's some work. I mean, in doing those, you're doing, these 2-page papers. This week is a little bit different. We'll talk about that in a moment. But there's some work involved with these learning activities. They're worth a total of like 33.3 points. Just for simplicity's sake, I have brought those up to 35 points as far as the grading amount on that. As far as the course is concerned, the course is going to be based off of 1,000 points. Those assignments are worth 33 points. So if you get a 35, but it's really counting as 33, there's some built-in extra credit to those as well. So keep that in mind. If you're wondering, like, where did this come from? That's why I did it. One, it builds in a little extra credit, and quite frankly, it's a little bit easier than dealing with a fractional point total. Let me look up that particular. I think it was 33.3 points. Yeah, the learning activities on our syllabus here, we have 6 of them for 33.3 points for a total of 200 points. I'm just bringing that up to 35 when I grade them. But again, it's still based off of 200 total points. So you could easily have, and many of you will, have over the amount that's supposed to be. So a little built-in extra credit for those learning activities. So again, I think all of you are going to be in some really good territory as long as you make sure you do everything, complete your assignments, and hand them in. You'll all do pretty well. All right, so let's talk a little bit about this week. All right, let's minimize my picture, and we'll take a look at the module. So we've got module 5, and in here we've got our normal readings and presentations, our learning activity. Again, this will be a little bit different than some of the other learning activities, kind of more like in module 1, where you're going to be doing the questions that are located at the end of the chapter 5. So make sure you do all the questions. And we're doing all all components of those questions. So 5.1, 5.2, 5.3, all 5.4 and 5.5. And make sure when you are answering those that you're answering them robustly, not just one word answers, one sentence answers. Make sure that they're completely addressing everything within those particular questions. If you notice the end of chapters are they have two different problem sets. One are questions and one are problems. Questions are more text-based, the problems are more math-based. So we're just doing the text-based, kind of the easier, or I should say the more um, non-math stuff in there. So I know most of you have some math phobia. All right, so let's also take a look at the Module 5 quiz. Will be, as promised, a little different than other quizzes that we've had. So we're kind of changing it up a little bit. If you notice, you only have 5 questions this week in the quiz. The quizzes will be based, they'll have a little bit more of accounting math in there. So I'm going to approach this two different ways. I was texting with some students and coming up with some ideas. And I think what we're going to do is this, or what I think this is what we're going to do. So you should be able to master the quiz with the material presented just within the textbook. But if you want, I am going to do kind of a quiz help, if you will, on Wednesday. I will shoot a video on Wednesday running through some similar questions that you might find on the quiz. Not all of them, but we'll give a good flavor of what's on the quiz. So look for a video in the course news this Wednesday, kind of I guess a quiz prep, if you will, or quiz review. If you want to wait till after Wednesday to take the quiz, totally up to you. Students have been very successful on this quiz without that. But that being said, I think it might benefit some of you where I'll do kind of a video capture like I'm doing now, and kind of will bring up my magic blue graph paper that I have, and you'll see me work through some problems. So stay tuned on that if you wish. Okay, so we've got that out there. Now let's see what else we've got. Oh yeah, the case study. So we've got our first major case study. There's going to be 2 case studies in the course. For those of you that do not have this textbook, which is absolutely okay, this one, highlighted right under, well, let me pull up there, right underneath my picture here. That's totally okay. For those of you that have taken a previous course, maybe you took the finance course somewhat out of sequence and you have that, it's the same book that we were using for that, but not required for this class because now I'm just giving you the PDFs out of that textbook. So you got your PDF of the case study. You want to, of course, click that and download that. And you'll want to answer these 5 questions. Now, there's usually a lot of questions about the questions. How should I answer them? Here's how I'm going to grade this. Is that I'm asking you really to apply what you've learned up to this point in accounting. And it may not be perfect knowledge, and I don't expect it to be. There's still some gaps, and we still got some other stuff to cover as we're going through this. But you should be able to have a relatively good grasp on this case study because it is kind of matched up with at the point of where you're at in the textbook. So you should be able to apply some of that to this case study, and that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for application. Have you applied what you learned? I'm not looking for the perfect answer, correct answers to the exact dollar, but I am looking for some thought that you put into it. It may be totally in the wrong direction, but if it makes kind of sense, even though you kind of plotted off in the wrong direction, you're going to get full points for that. If you're just, mailing it in, or clearly maybe not reading the case study, not reading the textbook and applying the 2 together and the lectures in there, then, that's going to come out in the grade. So again, apply yourself on this and you'll do just fine. Make sure that you are answering these questions in full paragraphs, 1 or more. I would say some of the more outstanding case studies, they're applying They're doing the one or more paragraphs, and they might even have, a graph or not necessarily a graph, but maybe a table that explains they're breaking down some analysis in the table. Um, that usually sets them apart from the others. Um, so think about that. What I am going to do for the case study, I will give you kind of a walkthrough of a sample solution that some other individuals have had to this that I think are outstanding. So, um, where it'll be, or I guess another, you get a flavor of what it should look like, I guess is what I'm trying to say, what the answers, kind of the feel of what it should look like. If you're putting in 3 sentences and that's it, and you're moving on to the next question, you're not going to get full points. So again, 1 to 2 full paragraphs, probably with some supporting, not for every one of these, but probably with some supporting numbers in there that you're pulling out, and you're going to do just fine. All right. But stay tuned also. I'll do a kind of a case study review that I'll post later on this week. This case study is not due until the end of Module 6, so you have 2 full weeks to work on the case study. Now, Module 6, or I should say Module 6, Week 6, is going to be busy for us. So this is going to be another one of those doubles that we have. This will be your last double. So this is going to be in the 5th week of the course, you're going to have both modules 6 and 7. I have lightened them up from what their normal presentation is, but still it's going to be a busy week for you. And then you top it off with this case study. If you wait until next week to do it or to get the meat of it done, you're going to be really unhappy. That'll be a rough week for you. So get the bulk of it done this week, and then polish it off next week, and you'll be fine. If you try to do everything, the double modules next week and the case study, again, it'll be a little difficult. So that's my recommendation, is that you work on it this week. The reason that's why we got it presented to you this week. All right, and then I think that pretty much does it. We do have our next progress journal in here. So I do appreciate your thoughts on those progress journals. So do keep going with that. So this week, not too terribly difficult, but you gotta at least put some of that work into the case study to set the groundwork to be to come out of this, kind of set the groundwork for the next final 2 weeks of the course, so you're not completely stressed out. So that's the whole thing about all of this is, if you can, is pacing. Try to pace yourself through all of our courses here at the college. If you and sometimes things happen and you have to, have a difficult week, but if at all, try to avoid that. All right, that concludes the week in review for this week. I just want to recap. We're going to have Wednesday. You're going to have a video that will help with the quiz if you need it. Again, not necessary for success, but it will be out there for you if you need it. And then, excuse me, on Thursday or Friday, I will have kind of a little bit of a video preview, or I don't know how I want to phrase it, but kind of more expectation discussions on what a successful case study might look like. So I guess those are 2 uh, perhaps must-watch videos that you'll want to see later on in the week. Not necessary for success. Students have been doing great on the case study, for quite a long time without any kind of I guess, preview, and students have done very well on this particular quiz without any kind of walkthrough as well. So you can still do well without watching the videos, but make your life easier. Like, if you can, make your life easier by watching the videos that I'm posting in the course news. You learn things like to make sure how to study for that midterm, which was pretty evident on those of you that rocked it out of the box and got great numbers on that. So, all right, so there you go. And as always, thanks for watching.